My age demographic doesn't come. You know,
One, two, three, four.
say Adonai Eloheinu.
Be'amcha Yisrael U'tefilatam be'ahava tikabel.
Oh, let us know that you are near.
Open our hearts that we may hear your still clear voice within us all.
May we be worthy
in our prayer and feel your presence everywhere. And may we answer when you call. And may you answer when we call. I'd say Adonai Eloheinu. I'd say Adonai Eloheinu. Dorot otam Brit olam, Brit olam Beini uvein bnei Yisrael Orhi leolam Beini uvein bnei Yisrael Orhi leolam Ki sheshet yamim asar Onai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz Uvayom hashvi'i shavat vayinafar Beini uvein bnei Yisrael Orhi leolam Beini uvein bnei Yisrael Orhi leolam הבאות תחת כנפי השכינה פרחים הבאים תחת כנפי השכינה May you be blessed beneath the wings of Shekhinah. Be blessed with love, be blessed with peace. Brachot habaot כנפי השכינה, ברוכים הבאים תחת כנפי השכינה. May you be blessed beneath the wings of Shekhinah. Be blessed with love, be blessed with peace. May you be blessed beneath the wings of Shekhinah. Be blessed with love, be blessed with peace.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. So this is such a feel-good moment. I mean, it is by far my favorite service, one of my favorite services that we do at Micah, and we only do it every other year. We always have the most amazing group of adult students, as we do this morning, celebrating an adult B'nai Mitzvah, a Brit Mitzvah, just a reorienting and reclaiming of their place in the Jewish tradition. And we're so glad that you have come, family and friends and congregants, to celebrate this morning with all of us. I feel like there's nothing that says to me more that we are back in person for Saturday morning services than seeing Ken Lass and Julie Greenberg sitting together in the sanctuary. That is the ultimate sign that things are returning to normal. It's very good to have that image. I love it so much. When Julie, you were sitting behind Ken, I was like, what's going on here? Yeah, okay, thank you. Anyway, and for those of you who are visiting from out of town, because this is a special occasion, we're so glad to have you. If you are related to one of these people, boy, are you lucky, because they're all pretty darn special. So, without further ado, I hope that you did grab a siddur on your way into the sanctuary. I know some of us are a little out of practice in doing that because we're often using our screens, but this morning I do want to invite you, they're just outside the doors of the sanctuary, to grab. If you haven't done it, go ahead and take one. You can get up and go get it if you need it now, because we want you to be able to follow along and participate with us. There also will be a couple of moments where we'll pause and have like a photo opportunity. I know we're a Reformed congregation, so we get to do that. We get to put that into the service. We'll have one at early on in the service when all of our B'nai Mitzvah candidates get their talit tot. There'll be a picture opportunity, and we'll ask those who are giving them their talit to stand for that picture with them as well. And then later on in the service, when they're all holding their Torahs, we'll have another little picture opportunity too. So just know those are coming. Aside from those two opportunities, though, we're going to ask you to hold off on pictures, and then after the service is over, if you want to take individual pictures in front of the ark or on the bima, you're more than welcome to. So I'll give you those photo signals as we go. Now, as you all have books, I'll invite you to go ahead and begin with me, just warming up with a little English on page 67 in the middle of the page. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all. Okay, we're going to start over because we're all going to do this together. All right, here we go. I know we're out of practice. Usually it's me and the camera, and you're at home. And okay. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May this synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life.
Rabba
I'm going to invite our amazing candidates forward this morning, and if you don't know all of them, Sarah Morgan is sitting at the end of our bima here, Rishabh Dasgupta, Donna Kaplan, Minnie Drongowski, and Natalie Hockman. And I'm going to invite them all to come forward at this time and ask Avery and Emma, Julie and Madeline, Leah, Michael and Mitchell, and Rati to come forward to present them with their tali to. You guys are going to come over this way. You can put your things down, and now we can do a picture too. You can just come up and, yep.
First, there's a picture moment first. Who's done?
Once everyone has their talit on, it will be a picture moment, so let's.
Do you have my clip?
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehitatef b'tzitzit. Yeah, I guess you need that. Are we?
משכנותיך ישראל, מה טובו אוהליך יעקב, אוהליך יעקב, משכנותיך ישראל. ואני ברוב חסדך אבוא ותך אשתך
Good morning. How fortunate we are to finally be together in person. This is amazing. You may be asking yourself, why would a grown adult about to turn 60 decide to become a bat mitzvah? The answer for me is simple. It is time. I've spent a lifetime learning, practicing, and celebrating Judaism. I've marveled at the knowledge of Judaism that my husband Mike has acquired and been inspired by the questions that he poses. Together, we have created a Jewish home for our family, witnessed the bat mitzvah of both our daughters, as well as danced at their Jewish weddings. Each year, my commitment to Judaism becomes stronger, and my Reformed Judaism teaches me that it is never too late to become a bat mitzvah, even now. So here I am, hineni. I was thrilled to find out that the Torah portion we would be reading today is Shalach Lecha. Coincidentally, it was both my daughter Emma's Torah portion as well as my son-in-law Jared's when they each became a B'nai Mitzvah. But it is also one that resonates with me. This week's Torah portion speaks of the time when the Israelites are poised to enter into the Promised Land and fulfill their dream of freedom in a new land. As with most things in life, nothing is that simple. Moses chooses 12 of the leaders of the group to scout out the new land. As the story goes, 10 of the scouts came back dejected. While they acknowledged the bountiful land, they were frightened by what they saw as the strength and might of the Canaanites. The people who inhabit the country are powerful, and the cities are fortified and very large. The country that we traversed and scouted is one that devours its settlers. All of the people that we saw in it were of great size. Of course, this scared all the community, and they wailed and cried, "It would be better for us to go back to Egypt. Let us go back to Egypt." However, 2 of the scouts, Joshua and Caleb, had a different viewpoint of the same land. The land that we traversed and scouted is an exceedingly good land. If pleased with us, Adonai will bring us into that land, a land that flows with milk and honey. Adonai is with us. When some looked out and saw nothing but dread and despair, how did 2 see such hope and promise? Spoiler alert, the 10 went out. The Israelites are too afraid to proceed, and God punishes them for their insolence. So while the 2 lone dissenting voices were but ultimately footnotes in the history of our people, they are who I connect with most in this story. Anyone who knows me knows that I rarely look backward in life. I don't like to dwell on the past, but rather keep moving forward. I prefer to try a new path every time, literally. I love hiking, but I never want to go up and then back down. I much prefer the loop hikes so that I can enjoy new scenery with every step. There's so much to learn, both positive and negative, with new adventures. The author Anai Nin once said, "Life shrinks or expands in proportion to one's courage." One of my mantras while raising my daughters was to tell them, "You will never regret the things that you do choose to do, but you will always regret the things that you didn't do because you were too scared." I truly believe this. In my life, I have done many things that others have told me they see as risky. That may seem that way to them, but I see it as a way to grow and learn and experience life. Am I more courageous than others? No, I'm not. I have never been afraid to go out on a limb because I've always had a cushion to fall on. I have you all, my family, my friends, my community, to catch me if I fall. I trust and rely on you to support me when things don't go exactly as I would like them to. There's no way to fail when you have others willing to prop you up. So what did these 2 scouts in our story possess that the others did not? Was it confidence in themselves, in God, in each other? The word confidence in Latin means to have faith together. I believe that they too had their own faith that gave them the courage to see the good rather than the bad. One thing I love about Judaism is how it asks us to look for the spark of divinity all around us. Throughout the Torah, the wonder and awe of heavenly intervention is awe-inspiring. Yet I find the holiest of lessons in the most human of moments, in times of grief, joy, in the mundane, in the moments of big change and opportunity, and in moments when fear can keep us from moving forward into a land of milk and honey. Toward the end of our Torah portion, God commands us to attach a cord of blue to the fringe of each corner. God is instructing us on the wearing of talit, which is a familiar symbol in our observation of Judaism. This talit that I'm wearing today is the physical and metaphorical representation of the Jewish tapestry that I have woven all around me. I have woven together bits of material from all those who are part of me, from my great-grandmother to my grandparents and parents-in-law, to my sister and brother and sisters-in-law, my friends who never let me down, my Micah family, my inspiring B'nai Mitzvah cohort, Lisa Silver and Rabbi Lori, and of course my ever-so-supportive husband of 32 years, Mike, and my daughters Avery and Emma, and their husbands Jake and Jarrett, who make my life all the more meaningful. Robert Louis Stevenson said, "Keep your fears to yourself, but share your courage with others." As we emerge into a new season of gathering and togetherness, may you all find the spark of the divine and the strength of community in those you hold most dear. Shabbat Shalom. We continue on page 76. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher yatzar et ha'adam b'chokhmah, uvaravo nekavim nekavim, chalulim chalulim, galui v'yadua lifnei chisei chavodecha, she'im ipateach echad mehem, o yisatem echad mehem, efshar lahikayem, v'la'amod lefanecha, Baruch atah Adonai rofi kol basar umafli la'asot. Please sing together with us on page 78, Elohai Neshama.
Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Shenatata bi tehorahi. Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Shenatata bi tehorahi. Atabarata, atayitzarata, afanifatabi, atamishamra, mishamra bikirbi. Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Shenatata bi tehorahi, Shenatata bi tehorahi.
We will continue on page 80 with the Nisim Bechol Yom, the blessings for daily miracles. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lasegvivina lehagvin ben yom leila. Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, pokeach ivrim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, matir asurim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, zokef kefufim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, roka haaretz al hamayim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamechin mitzadek daber.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, malbish arumim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, anoten le'af koach.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hama'avir shena me'enai, utnuma me'afapai.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani b'tselem Elohim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani bat chorin.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani Yisrael.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, ozer Israel b'gvura.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, oter Yisrael b'tifarah.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Please join us on page 88. Elu devarim sha'ein lahem shi'ur, sha'adam ochel perotechem ba'olam hazeh, v'hakeren kayemet lo le'olam haba, ve'elu hein.
Kibud avaim, ugmilut hasadim.
V'hashkamas bais hamidrash, shaharis ve'arvis.
V'hachnasat orchim uvikur cholim.
V'haknasat kala, uvayat hamei, biyun tefillah.
Be'ahavat shalom, bein adam lachaveru, v'talmud Torah, keneged kulam.
Please join us in singing Psalm 150 on page 100.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, the kocho. Hallelujah, b'ki ha'ozah. Hallelujah, b'gvurotav. Hallelujah, k'rogulo. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Take a shofar. Hallelujah, never vichinor. Hallelujah, tofu macho. Hallelujah, biminim ve'uga. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, tzitzalei shama. Hallelujah, tzitzalei trua. Koran shema tehallelujah. Koran shema tehallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
Please rise and join us on page 106 for the Hatzi Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Amei Rabba Be'alma divra hirute ve'amlik malchute v'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayde kol bait Yisrael ba'agla uv'izman kariv ve'emeru amen.
Yeshmei Rabba Mevorach Le'olam olam le'amaya Yitbarach
Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yithaleh v'yithalal shemei d'kedusha v'rehu le'ela min kol birchata v'sharata
Tushbechata v'nechemata Damiran belma B'imeru
Amen.
Ya la 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 Ya la 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 Ya la 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 Ya la 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 Ya la 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 Ya la 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 Ya la 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 Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach
Please be seated. As I stand here today before all of you, my friends, my family, my congregation, and my tribe, to read from the Torah, I fulfill a rite of passage that has been in our tradition for millennia. Although I have read from a Sefer Torah before, by being here this morning and by taking part in this adult B'nai Mitzvah ceremony, I make an active choice to reaffirm my faith and strengthen my connection to our community. While in the ancient days, when this custom was first instituted by the sages in Babylonia, fulfilling this ritual meant that one had entered into legal adulthood, to me, participating in this time-honored ritual has given me an opportunity to reflect on why Judaism is so important to me. On a basic level, being Jewish provides me with a sense of routine. For my daily prayers, which I've allotted zaman or times to observing the Shabbos, the rituals of Judaism provide a solid foundation for my day-to-day activities. By making the time to practice these rituals in an otherwise hectic world, I make time for myself to refocus and recalibrate my senses and my feelings when I most need them. It can be hard to find time to take a break during a busy day, but having a religious obligation that you enjoy doing is a very fun way to do so. Many of these obligations are communal in nature, and they provide me with an opportunity to reconnect with my loved ones. I love that at the end of every secular week, I can look forward to FaceTiming my parents so that we can wish each other good Shabbos and recite the Kiddush over wine with my dad. The very next day, just 25 hours later, we can FaceTime again and wish each other a Shavua Tov and sing Eliyahu Hanavi. We are able to celebrate together every week, and that adds a great element of joy, which is one of my favorite parts of being Jewish. On the subject of family, being Jewish allows me to engage with my family's history on a regular basis as well. We Jews are a diasporic people. The beauty of this is that each and every one of us has a unique family history to retell. I personally continue to speak Bengali with my parents, and it serves as a reminder of my grandmother, a refugee from undivided India, who taught it to me, Ledor Vador. I continue to speak Yiddish and try to journal in it whenever I can, because that makes me feel more like myself. I am probably one of the only people left in the world that speaks that combination of languages, and not to brag, that makes me feel very special. So far, I've only talked about the fun parts of being Jewish. Unfortunately, it's never been easy to be a Jew throughout history, and it continues to be a struggle for many today. Recent events in the world have taught us that being proudly Jewish is something that can put your life at risk. Believing that our community deserves safety and security can be seen as an opinion rather than a given. But through it, our tikva and our emunah shines through. The difficult experiences that we as a people have endured allow us to view the world with a sense of compassion that illuminates our existence. It allows us to empathize with the disadvantaged, and I believe that this is the most important part of my Jewish practice. It is one thing to remember the exodus from Egypt as commanded by God once in the morning and once at night, but it is another matter altogether to apply it in real life. I find that I feel the most Jewish, not only when I pray or participate in outwardly Jewish activities like reading the weekly Parsha, but rather when I bring the principles of these rituals and my learnings from them into my everyday life. Though this is not the easiest thing to do at all times, it provides everything that I do with a sense of purpose, and that sense of purpose is what makes Judaism so important to me. Thank you.
We continue on page 110. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or uvarei choshech osei shalom uvarei et hakol hameir le'aretz v'ladarim aleha barachamim uvtuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reshit ma Rabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam b'chokma asita, mal'a ha'aretz kin yanecha.
Tziparach Adonai Eloheinu al shavach ma'aseh yadeha, va'al me'orei or she'asita, ya'fa'aruha selah, or hadash al zion ter, v'nizkei hulanu mehira le'oro, Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer HaOrot.
Please read with me on the top of page 113. Once or twice in a lifetime, a man or woman may choose a radical leaving, having heard Lech Lecha, go forth. God disturbs us towards our destiny by hard events and by freedom's now urgent voice, which explode and confirm who we are. We don't like leaving, but God loves becoming. Baruch atah Adonai, haboher ba'amo Yisrael be'ahava.
We continue with the words of the Shema.
Shema,
Shema
Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai
Shem Kavod,
Shem Kavod, Lahuto, Leolam Vaed.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, v'chol levacha, uv'chol nefshecha, uv'chol meodecha, ve'hayu Hadvarim ha'eleh, asher anochi mitzacha, hayom al levaveha, v'shimantam levaneha, v'dibarta bam, v'shivteha v'viteha, uv'lechteha v'derek, u'shofeha u'kumeha, u'kshartam, Ve'hayu l'totafo beineneha, u'taftam al mezuzot beiteha, u'vishareha, laman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai, v'yitem kadoshim Elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeiתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Please join me as we read responsively on page 121. The eternal truth is that you alone are God and there is none else.
May the righteous of all nations rejoice in your love and exult in your justice.
Let them beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks.
Lift them up against nation, nor learn war anymore.
You shall not hate your brother or your sister in your heart.
The stranger that sojourns with you shall be accepted as your equal, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt.
Why do you crush my people and oppress the poor, asks God.
We know that the Eternal One defends the poor and upholds the rights of the needy.
Praise to God Most High.
Blessed is God and deserving of blessing.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar v'kodesh, nora tehilot osef eleh, nora tehilot osef eleh. Shircharsha shirchu geulim leshimcha safar hayam, Yachar kulam hodu ve'imlechu ve'amru Adonai imloch leolam va'ed, Adonai imloch leolam va'ed.
Sur Yisrael, Kuma Be'ezrat Yisrael, Uvdenu Mecha, Yehuda ve'Yisrael. Go Aleinu Adonai Savot Shamo, Kadosh Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. Please rise for the Amidah.
Adonai tzifatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'Nehem, L'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magin, Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Avraham Be'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol atah Rav le'Hoshia, Mechalkel Chaim be'chesed, Mechayei HaKol be'rachamim rabim, Somech nofalim be'rofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar, Michamocha bal givurot, Umido melach, Melech memid umechayev, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lehachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Nikadesh et shimcha ba'olam, Kishem shemakdashim oto b'shmei marom, Kakatuv al yad neviecha, V'kara ze el ze ve'amar, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzivaot, Meloch ol haaretz kivodo. Adir Adirenu Adonai Adonenu, Madir Shimcha b'chol haaretz, Baruch kavod Adonai mimkomo. Echad hu Eloheinu,
הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו, והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי יחסיון, לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושפך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Take the next few moments for our own silent prayer, and you can find your seat when you're ready.
שים שלום, טובה וברכה. שים שלום, טובה וברכה. שים שלום, טובה וברכה. שים שלום, טובה וברכה. Each hold a gift, man and woman, boy and girl. There's as many pieces of this gift as people in the world. And if we put them all together, maybe we can find a way to build a peaceful world one day. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Sim shalom, tova uvracha.
Shabbat Shalom. This bat mitzvah is a beginning, a spiritual coming of age for adult Jews. Every story has a beginning and a reason why. The reason I'm here today is because of a wise rabbi, 2 great-grandfathers, and a young man I met in college. In the fall of 1987, I met a medical student whose name was Michael Hochman. He was Jewish and I was Presbyterian. We had many interesting conversations about religion. He asked me questions about my religion that I'd never asked myself, and I learned so much about Judaism that I'd never known. It was the beginning of my spiritual journey as an adult. Michael and I got married 2 years later in a ceremony with a rabbi and a minister. Finding a rabbi who would officiate an interfaith marriage was difficult. Rabbi Arthur Baseman was welcoming and kind. When asked by his colleagues why he chose to do interfaith marriages, his response was that he believed it was better to be inclusive to non-Jews than to turn them away. It was as if a door had been opened and I was welcomed in. When our first son was born, I asked myself, how could this next generation of Hochmans not be Jewish? Max was named after his Jewish great-grandfathers, Maxwell and Aaron. Michael and I raised our 3 children Jewish. We had a Jewish home and helped establish a synagogue that we were actively involved in. 18 years ago, before Max's bar mitzvah, I decided that I was ready to convert. Again, it was Michael who began asking me questions. Why do you want to convert? Are you doing this for yourself? If something happens to me, will you still want to be Jewish? The truth is, my conversion had begun years before, learning with and from my children, Michael, and my rabbis. The Atlantic Ocean served as my mikvah. I emerged from the water feeling whole, happy, and very proud. My Hebrew name is Rachel. It means lamb or ewe, one of the mothers of Israel. It is a name suggested for those spiritual and free-spirited. I'm here today because of questions I began asking myself 34 years ago. My rabbi once said to me that he couldn't give me answers to questions that he didn't have an answer for. Asking why is always encouraged in Judaism, even if there aren't answers to those questions. That honesty is what defines Judaism for me and sets it apart from other religions. My faith is strong, and I'm proud to be Jewish. I've always thought of myself as a Jew by choice. Making that choice for myself made me want to work harder and to learn more. Not being born Jewish made me feel as though I had more to prove. As a child, I had heard a story about my great-grandfather who wore a kippah. I learned recently that my great-grandfather, Julius Glasser, was Jewish. He was born in 1886 and was a soap maker and salesman in Pittsburgh. He had a long beard, and he wore a kippah at home. He and my great-grandmother, Jane Matthews, had 4 children whom they raised as Christians. My other great-grandfather, Lorenz Hermann, came from Michelbach, Germany in 1812. He married my great-grandmother, Teresa Marie Vogel, and they raised their 12 children as Christians. The Michelbach Synagogue was destroyed during Kristallnacht. In 1929, my grandfather, David Glasser, married my grandmother, Emma Hermann. The 2 families were forever connected, but the past was forgotten until I came along. I feel as if I'm the link in a chain that was broken. By choosing Judaism, I'd actually found my way back to it. I wonder if my great-grandfathers could have ever imagined that their great-granddaughter would put on a talit and read from the Torah in Nashville, Tennessee in the year 2021. Today, I honor their memories and hope that they would be proud. I decided to become a bat mitzvah because of my friendship with Mindy Drongowski and Donna Kaplan. We decided to take this journey together as friends. Studying with them, Sarah, Rishav, and Rabbi Lori has been a wonderful experience, one that I will always cherish. In Hebrew, Chai means life. Judaism is a religion that emphasizes the importance of life and the hope that supports it. I've chosen to live a Jewish life, and it is meaningful to me that I'm becoming a bat mitzvah 18 years after my conversion. I'm here today with much gratitude and love for my husband, Michael, whose question of why helped me to begin this journey to find my Jewish self all those years ago. I was a stranger, and I am no more. This brings me to our Torah portion, Numbers chapter 13. God had asked Moses to send men from all the tribes of Israel to scout the land of Canaan. They returned to report that it was a land of milk and honey and rich with fruit. However, they were afraid to settle there because the cities were fortified and very large. The people there were very powerful and of great size. We looked like grasshoppers to ourselves, and so we must have looked to them. They didn't trust that their faith in God would protect them and help them to find their way. I think of my great-grandfathers in a new land and of being afraid to be Jewish. As well, a journey to find oneself can also be both energizing and intimidating. My portion is verses 14 to 18. When throughout the ages a stranger has taken up residence with you, there shall be one law for you and the resident stranger. It shall be a law for all time. You and the resident stranger shall be alike before the Lord. The same ritual and the same rule shall apply to you and the stranger who resides among you. This resonated with me for several reasons. I've always felt compelled to welcome strangers and to meet people who are new, people I don't know. It is my nature to reach out, to make new friends, and to make them feel welcome. In God's eyes, we are all equal, and it is important to treat a stranger as we would want to be treated ourselves. We will be judged by the same law, the stranger and I. Moses said, "It was you who were a slave. It is you who knows the heart of a stranger." As Jews, we are obliged to reach out to strangers in our midst. The commandment to care for the stranger is mentioned more times than any other commandment in the Torah. On my wedding day, a wise rabbi didn't treat me like a stranger. He made me feel welcomed. His outstretched hand, his determination to not turn me away, and his faith in my ability to choose has led me here to this sacred place on this day. Thank you. Shabbat shalom.
We continue with the Torah portion of today's service on page 244.
Ein kamocha v'Elohim Adonai, ve'ein kamasecha, malchutcha malchut kol olamim, umemshaltacha v'chol dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai himloch leolam va'ed, Adonai oz lamo yitein, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Av harachamim hetiva v'rtzonocha et Zion, tivnei chomot Yerushalayim, tivnei chomot Yerushalayim, ki v'cha levad bataknu, melech el ramanisa, Adon olamim.
So I'm going to, in a moment, ask everybody to rise, but I'd like to bring Mike, Avery, Emma, and Jared forward to open our ARC doors and ask our B'nai Mitzvah candidates to come and stand before the ARC as well to receive Torah, and invite you all to please rise.
Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, udvar Adonai merushalayim, Baruch shenatan Torah Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah Torah, Lamo Yisrael b'kidushato.
Come here.
So this is what we can close these things, guys. Actually, no, I apologize.
Okay.
Okay. All right. This is another photo opportunity. So we're going to pause for a moment, but you're going to take it quickly because these are heavy. Okay. So normally we would pass the Torah, but that was going to be very long. So we decided that we would pass the Torah. But I have to say I am like glowing with pride at how amazing these people are. We're about 2/3 through, and you're doing a great job. So let me tell you a long story. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that. I mean, there's so much pride. I think you all feel it. I feel it. It's pretty incredible. We're going to read some Torah. Actually, we're not. They are. And we're going to listen. And I just want to say this was also my bat mitzvah portion. So I feel like high five, guys. Yeah, very exciting. All right. Say it again. And I was 21. 21. Yeah. So close, Mindy. Yeah. Yeah, Rishab is 21. I love it. Okay, good. Yeah, Julie Greenberg tells all our teen candidates that they don't have to do it when they're 13, and in fact, you don't, right? So anyway, as you see these words of the Shema this time, holding your Torah, this is the moment in which you claim for yourself that this is yours. It always has been, but what a beautiful picture for all of us.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shmo.
Adonai iti uneromema shemo yaktav.
Lecha Adonai Hagadula, Vagavura, Vatiferet, Vahanetzach, Vahahor. Ki chol bashamayim uvaretz, kechol bashamayim uvaretz. Lecha Adonai hamamlacha, vehamitnaseh lechol harosh. Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, haolam omed, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim.
Shabbat Shalom, y'all. Hi. So I'm going to not only do a little introduction to the Torah, but also my kind of little statement too. I'm, like I said, I'll be introducing the Torah portion today. Hope I can live up to Rabbi Flip's amazing sermon last night, which isn't going to happen, but I got a little inspiration from it anyway. And it was our first Shabbat in person since March of 2020, so it was amazing. So yay. So we're going to be reading Shalach Laha, which translates to send yourself, and focuses on sending 12 scouts from each tribe of Israel to the promised land to report back on the fruit, the soil, and the people. Not only did they find the land, as I said, flowing with milk and honey, but they also brought back a cluster of grapes so large that it actually supposedly took 2 men to carry it. And in fact, just recently, a 1600-year-old, mosaic in a synagogue in northern Israel depicts this event. Can y'all even imagine how excited a grape lover would be to see a giant bundle of grapes coming through the desert? Hello, wine, you know? They, however, came across Nephilim, or giants. 10 of the men were so frightened, most of the Israelites believed it would be better just to return to Egypt. Only Joshua and Caleb are supportive of continuing on, because if they have faith in God, they can conquer anything. God, angered at their swift forgetfulness of what he had done for them, wanted to destroy those who wouldn't put trust in him. But Moses negotiated on their behalf, and they were spared. However, their punishment was that they, the generation of Israelites who wandered the desert for 40 years and were saved from slavery by God, were not allowed to enter the promised land. However, the second generation would be, and they were led by Joshua and Caleb, who forgot their insecurities and remembered God is with us. This portion also includes the commandment to attach tzitzit, a thread, at the fringes at the corners of our garments, and as a reminder to the responsibility to fulfill all commandments of Torah, as well as the offerings to be given. And the treatment of ger, or strangers, as one of their own. It also reminds us that, as Rabbi Lori said in our class, sometimes it takes the next generation of people to go forward and to go further than those before us. I want to include 2 modern-day examples of Joshua and Caleb that I came across when I was kind of researching this Torah portion, because I connected to both of them for 2 reasons. One as a historian, and the second as a fan of a popular TV show. The first is Anita Politzer, a Jewish woman who made the ultimate difference in the women's suffrage movement. After basically wandering the proverbial desert for years, she became the woman who met with Harry T. Byrne, a House representative right here in Nashville, and ultimately convinced him to vote in favor to officially ratify the 19th Amendment. Anita has been compared to Joshua because as a second generation of women who had been hoping for this, she finally basically led women into the promised land. Continuing on with the Caleb comparison, the fictional character of Ted Lasso. If you haven't seen the show, it revolves around an American football coach who is hired to run a British soccer team and is faced with uncertainty and is a positive person in a sea of negativity. Thanks to Jason for giving me that line. I just got to throw that out there. Coach Lasso is set up for challenges. However, he perseveres with the literal power of believing in yourself and the people around you. Let's not let challenges stop us. Let's choose to speak up against adversity, and let's believe in ourselves and those around us, and also spread positivity even when faced with negativity. Not only on one of his first days as coach hangs a believe sign in their locker room, but he later says, quote, "I believe in hope, I believe and believe." Just like Caleb and Joshua, we should remember to just believe and to be hopeful. So to myself, I chose this particular journey today for so many reasons. One, including the fact that not only did I always kind of feel a connection to the Jewish faith, but have since finally took the leap into conversion a couple years ago because I felt so welcome here at Micah. I have never felt more accepted by a community such as this. Also, I already knew how much work my daughter Madeline put in for her bat mitzvah, which was just this past March. But by going through this on my own, I have no idea how she, as a 13-year-old, just a few months ago, stood here and did just this. Solely because I am shaking nervous to read the Torah right now. I don't know if you can tell. I'm already overwhelmingly proud, but this has made me totally realize. So most importantly, though, I want to thank especially Rabbi Lori for everything you've done for my Jewish journey, as well as Julie Greenberg, who has been there for me for so much and has given me amazing opportunities, such as teaching here at the religious school at Micah, and of course, my family, who have always supported me in anything I've done. I love all of y'all. I also want all of you who have been on this journey with me to know that y'all are lifelong friends, and I have loved learning and preparing with you. And this is from last night, because Rabbi Flip quoted you last night, and I loved it so much. As Julie has been now quoted multiple times saying, but it's once again fitting, if you want to go fast, go by yourself, but if you want to go far, you go together. We may not have wandered the desert or scouted the promised land, but we did do this today. This experience has elevated my personal feelings about Judaism as a convert to the next level, and I look forward to continuing my journey. And lastly, in the words of one of my favorite movies and favorite characters, Elle Woods from Legally Blonde, we did it, almost, pretty close.
Totally true. If I had half of Sarah's energy, it would be amazing. Okay, Sarah, that was so fun. Okay, and I mean, all of you that have spoken, it's inspirational and incredible. But yeah, there's like it's too bad she's very low key. Just a little on the chill side, Sarah. No, how blessed we all are in this community with all of you. All right, it's time to call you all to the Torah. So we're going to do this a little bit differently, where everyone's going to come to the Torah together. We're going to do one blessing at the beginning. We're shifting. And then everyone's going to read, and then we'll bless again at the end. And I do want to formally call you all by your Hebrew names. So we say, Ya'amdu Tzipora ve'Eliyahu ben Dovid ve'Reshmi ve'Rochel ve'Devorah bat Shena ve'Mordechai Meir ve'Miriam Frida lichbod ve'likra Torah. We have one here. I'm going to scoot over here. Move out of your way.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher b'karbanu mikol hamim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
וישובו מטור הארץ מקץ 40 יום, וילכו ויבואו אל משה ואל אהרון ואל כל עדת בני ישראל אל מדבר פרן קדשה, וישיבו אותם דבר ואת כל העדה, וירום את פרי הארץ. ויספרו לו ויאמרו בנו על הארץ אשר שלקתנו, וגם זבת חלב ודבש היא, וזה פריה. אפס כי אז העם היושב בארץ, והיבוסי העברים, בצורות גדולות מאוד, וגם ילדי הענק ראינו שם. עמלק יושב בארץ האיתי, ויבוסי ויאמרי יושב בחר, והכנעני יושב על העם ואל יד יורדן.
Is this me? Vasham Rainu et Hanephilim B'nei Anak min Hanephilim Vanhi Va'enenu Kachagavim V'chein Ha'inu Ba'enehem Vatisa Kol Ha'eda Vayitnu et kolam, vayivku ha'am, balayla hahu. Vayilnu al Moshe ve'al Aharon, kol b'nei Yisrael, vayomru alehem, kol ha'eda, lumatnu ba'eretz Mitzrayim, oh, Bamidbar hazeh lumatnu, Valama Adonai meviotanu al haaretz hazot linpol bacherev nashenu v'tapenu yihiyu lavaz halo tov lanu Shuv Mitzrayma.
Help me find my first word. V'hiyagul Ihem ger, asher betochechem lidorotechem, ka'asa ishach reach nikoa ladonai, ka'asher ka'asu ken ya'aseh. Ha-ka-ha, hu-ka, la-ha, lahem, ve'lager hagar, Hukat olam lidorotechem kahem kager yihye lifnei Adonai. Torah achad umishpach echad yihye lachem velager hagar ihem. Vayadaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. Daber el bnei Yisrael ve'armata alechem beroechem el haaretz asher ani meviehem shama.
Vayadaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. Daber el bnei Yisrael vayamata alehem melehem. Oh wait. Bevoahem el haaretz asher ani mevi ethem shama vehaya beholahem melahem haaretz tarimu truma laadonai reshit arisotehem met hala tarimu truma ki trumat gorain ken tarimu ota mereshit arisotehem tetnu laadonai tarimu ledoratehem.
Vayomer Adonai el Moshe lemor. Daber el bnei Yisrael ve'amarta alehem ve'asu lahem tzitzit al kanfei vigdehem ledorotam ve'natnu al tzitzit hakanaf patil techelet vehaya lachem l'tzitzit oritem oto utzhartem et kol mitvaot Adonai ve'asitem otam velo taturu acharei levavhem ve'acharei einechem asher atem zonim achareihem. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Here's the names if you need them again.
Great. I invite you to join us in our prayer for healing, the Misha Berach. And today, we'd like to offer our blessings to the following congregants: Steve Geringer, Savannah Morris, Jane Sherberg, Paul Richter, Crystal Miller, Janice Grossman, Charlie Baugh, Monette Chance, Mickey Collins, Karen Eisner, Laurie Mandel, TJ Cohen, Lisa Silver, our cantor, Lisa Silver, our member, and Dick Eskin.
Berach avotenu makor הברכה לאמותינו. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Sheberach imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema.
Both our Torah portion this morning, Parshat Shalach Lecha, and the Haftorah portion, which is from the book of Joshua, tell of spies who are sent out to explore the land that Israel was destined to occupy. In the Torah portion, Joshua is one of the 12 spies, and in the Haftorah portion, as the successor of Moses in the leadership of the people, he follows his mentor's example, but the new mission turns out a little bit differently. In this story, Joshua is a leader of the Israelite people, and the campaign to conquer the land, as we now know as Israel, is about to begin. Joshua sends 2 spies to scope out the land, and the spies come back. Well, before they come back, they come to a dwelling of a local prostitute whose name is Rahab. Torah is very exciting. The king of the town wants to question the spies, but Rahab hides them. She makes a pact with the 2 spies that they must spare her entire family when their people take over the land in exchange for not turning the spies over to the king. The spies agree, they escape thanks to her, and they return to share the news with Joshua. That is what you will hear this morning.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratza v'divrehem haneimarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai abocher b'Torah uv'Moshe avdo uv'Yisrael amo uv'nvi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek.
Vayishlach Yoshua bin Nun min hashitim shnayim anashim meraglim cheresh lemor lechu ra'u et haaretz va'et Yeriko vayelhu vayavu beit isha zona Shema Rahav Vayishkavu Shama Vayamar LeMelech Yericho Lemor Hine Anashim Ba'u Hena Halayla Mabnei Yisrael Lachpo et Haaretz Vayishlach Melech Yericho El Rahav Lemor Hotzi Ha'anashim Haba'im Elaich Asher Ba'u Lavetech Ki Lachpo et Kol Haaretz Ba'u. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Sur kol ha'olamim, tzaddik bechol hadarot, ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer v'oseh, ha'medaber u'mkayem, shekol devarav emet v'tzedek. Al ha'torah, v'al ha'avodah, v'al ha'nevi'im, v'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh. Shenatata lanu, Adonai Eloheinu, l'kedusha v'limnucha, l'kavod u'tifaret. Al hakol, Adonai Eloheinu, anachnu modim lach, u'varachim otach, yitbarach shimcha, b'fi kol chai tamid le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, mikadesh ha'shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom. I stand here today, 50 years after the traditional age of becoming a bat mitzvah, as an adult woman in our community, and I'm feeling the same anxiety my own children felt as they acknowledged their own commencement into religious adulthood. I am standing here as proof that old dogs can indeed learn new tricks. I believe that spiritual journeys are paths with many twists and turns, and even sometimes forks in the road with no clear choice as to which road to choose. But all paths provide a journey, and my journey continues to unfold. Growing up in a conservative synagogue in Atlanta, Georgia, I never understood the services or the prayers. I had a recall of the prayers in the process of the service, but lacked a true understanding of what each prayer meant and why we recited the words. I believe this lack of understanding pushed me towards a period of apathy and disconnect to my faith. I have always been culturally Jewish and embraced the holidays because this meant a gathering of family and, of course, delicious meals. In the early years, it was my mother's fantastic cooking, and in my later years, the gathering with good friends who always made me feel like family. These wonderful times and events have always filled my heart. I believed I didn't really need formal religious affiliation. I felt content as a cultural Jew until Jeff and I had children. Having children was a game changer for me. I knew I had to provide a religious foundation for Adam and Leah, and I knew in my heart that it wasn't conservative Judaism. We had relocated to Nashville from Wilmington, Delaware, when Adam was 4 and Leah was 18 months. The JCC preschool provided the perfect environment to begin their Jewish education. We met other families at the JCC, and through this experience, I determined that Reform Judaism was more in line with how I saw the world. After convincing my husband Jeff that we should join a Reform community, our family joined the temple and found a religious environment that suited our needs at the time. The religious education my children received was excellent. In fact, I was so inspired that I became a 5th grade Sunday school teacher. For those of you who have known me since my early years, this provided quite the major chuckle overhearing the fact that I was now responsible for teaching 10-year-olds about Jewish ethics. As humorous as this seemed, it was also a chance for me to learn right along with very bright 10-year-olds. I thoroughly embraced being a teacher and a student at the same time. My own children loved religious school and the preparations to become bar and bat mitzvahed. They embraced the experience completely. Both were curious why I had never become a bat mitzvah. When asked, I simply said, it was different in my day. Interestingly, their responses were the same. You could do it now if you want to. I replied, you're right, and I continued about my life, never really giving it another thought, until my dear friends, Mindy Drongowski and Natalie Hockman, invited me to join them in study. Not really wanting to face my fear to stand up and chant in front of the congregation, I responded, "We'll see." But they continued asking me to join them, saying things like, "It would be so fun to do this together." I literally didn't say yes until the class was starting. And even then, secretly thinking, I could come up with an excuse to get out of this. But to my surprise, I was enjoying studying with Rabbi Laurie and the others. Rabbi Laurie was so welcoming and encouraging that I began to believe I could do this. Our Zoom classes inspired me, and with an emerging understanding of our faith that I had never experienced before. I had found a teacher who could not only explain, but allow us to think and interpret for ourselves. I felt renewed. Thank you, Rabbi Laurie, for being my beacon and giving light to my journey on this new path. My portion of today's Torah reading is specifically about God telling Moses to instruct the Israelites to attach fringes to the corners of their garments, to remind them of all of God's commandments and to observe them. Specifically, a cord of blue should be attached. I interpret this perhaps to remind us of the sky and our own proximity to God. The tzitzits or fringes of the talit service serve as reminders that we should consider, recall, and embrace. It is God's instruction for us not to follow our hearts and eyes in a lustful pursuit, but instead be reminded of God and his commandments. My interpretation is a bit more modern in that we should not be selfish, but instead embracing of others. This is something that I try to be mindful of each and every day. I see the talit serving as a reminder of God's commandments and as an anchor of our faith. This garment has been worn by our ancestors and is one of our traditions that will continue with all future generations, something that ties us to the past and the future. Like my interpretation of what the fringes of the talit represent, I believe the three descriptors align with my own journey to becoming a bat mitzvah. My dear friends asked me to consider joining them on this journey. I recalled my fears and inhibitions, but I embraced the challenge to become a bat mitzvah. I want to thank my family for supporting me on this journey, especially my husband, Jeff, for listening to me practice every day and for being my rock and telling me every time, "You've got this, you've got this." Thank you to Rabbi Laurie, the Congregation Micah community, and my B'nai Mitzvah cohort. Today could not be possible without each one of you. Shabbat Shalom.
So, what a wonderful morning. You've all done such a great job, and now you get to relax. The hard part is over, and now we have some gifts for you, and the first one comes by way of this song.
I've been wandering in the desert of doubt, searching for meaning. What is life all about? There are so many paths, and I've explored them all. But I always felt there was a missing piece. Was I somehow denying an important part of me? Then the voices of my people spoke. Now I'm answering the call. Hineni, here I am, ready to receive your holy delight. Openly, gratefully, let me be all I can be. Hineni, here I am. me. Stories and tales from another place and time. But my roots go deep, and with each word I read, I could hear my father's fathers and the same words that they said. It's like they all were telling me this history is mine. Hineni, here I am, ready to receive your holy plan. Openly, gratefully, let me be all I can be. Hineni, here I am. As the ark is open, so is my heart, and I know I'm not alone. Adonai, as these words are spoken, I'm where I'm meant to be. I am home. Hineni, here I am, ready to receive your holy plan. Openly, gratefully, let me be all I can be. Hineni, here I am. Hineni, here I am.
All right, we need Archer Lurch to come forward at this time. And Archer, if you could bring Rabbi Flip and your mom, that'd be great. Thank you.
If you don't know what you're living for, you haven't yet lived. Life is the most precious thing we have. Everyone wants to have a life of meaning, but we are all so busy living that we don't have a moment to really think about living. You have all inspired us to do just that today, to remember to pause and think about the delicate beauty of life. So thank you all so much, and Mazel Tov, and I'm sorry about this. On behalf of the Congregation Micah staff and Board of Trustees, I'm honored to be able to present a gift to each of you from us to commemorate this special occasion. We hope it becomes a symbol of joy and a reminder of this beautiful simcha. Mazel Tov to all of you.
One of the things that happens as part of the sacred chain of tradition at Congregation Micah is that everyone who has a bar bat mitzvah signs the congregational scroll. So everybody's going to come up here and sign the scroll.
I see you.
Okay.
Come on underneath. I always thought it was kind of an absurd thing that we occupy such a small amount of time in eternity. And it occurred to me that that is one of the things that makes Judaism special, is that we mark sacred occasions. And this by far is a sacred occasion, not just in your life, but in the life of our community. And so we pause at this moment to thank you and to bless you for allowing your families and friends and our larger community and this whole virtual world that's watching us on television to thank you and feel that joy. We say, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, may this great God of the past, who blessed any and all of our ancestors before us, continue to bless you in all of your many endeavors. May that God remind you to continue to mark these holy moments and to share these sacred occasions with your larger community, not just in joyous times like this, but in hard times too, making the whole world a stronger place because of your love and your work. How about a Shekechianu?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
We thank this great power in the universe that originally created us, that ushers in us and helps us along the way and enables us to reach holy moments like this. Everybody says, Amen. Okay, the arms are getting tired. Koach, we say kol hakavod, mazel tov, and congratulations.
Hodo al eretz v'shamayim vayarem kelelamo tehila l'chol chasidav livnei Yisrael am karovo. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
If Mitchell, Hockman, and Adam and Leah Kaplan will come forward to open our ARC doors at this time, that would be just wonderful.
Etz chaim hi lamachzikim ba v'tomcheha meushar racheha darkenu am v'chol netivoteha shalom hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva Chadesh, Chadesh Yameinu, Chadesh Yameinu, Kekedem. Aleinu l'shabech l'adon hakol, l'tet gedula l'yotzer bereshit, shelo asanu k'giveh haratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam hokeinu kahem, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד
shalom echad.
Please turn to page 294 as we recite the Mourner's Kaddish. But first, we recall the yortzites of those who we lost at this time of the year for the following names: Bryn Marion Brooker, David Chernus, Fanny Cohen, Anthony Belmore Frohl, Lillian Geller, Jeffrey Gellin, Elizabeth Ann Griffin, Dr. Richard E. Heller, Mildred Hutner, Sidney Levine, Tansen Love, Benjamin Parker, Julia Rickard, Saul Smith, Sam Harold Tuckman, and William Williamson.
We also continue mourning for Rich Moschel, Henry E. Foyer, Dr. Bob Sirkin, Aidan Becker, Robert Golden, Des Zamek, Elaine Farinacci, Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, Charlene Krahili, John Giffen, Faye Sirkin, Joyce Murray, Richard I. Bourne, Fran Schmerling, Peggy J. West, Christopher Miller, Molly Stein, Alfred Cohen, Joseph W. Blumenthal, Leonard Baxt, Joanne Cohen, Jack Shirak, Hilda Jackman, Melissa Yotsuya. If there's any names that we neglected to mention, you can say them now. Yitgadal v'yitkada shemei rabbah, b'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayachon uvyomechon uvkaye dekol beit Yisrael, ba'gala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach, leolam ve'olmaya almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitabar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei b'kedusha brichu le'ilam min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata damiran b'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabbah min shemaya v'chaye aleinu v'kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, uyaseh shalom aleinu v'kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
I think we need a resounding Shabbat Shalom for this amazing group. Well, Shabbat Shalom, and we will join together in one final song, and then we hope that you'll stay and celebrate with us.
Oh, say shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
A 1, 2, 3, 4.